Abū Maʿshar Jaʿfar ibn Muḥammad al-Balkhi was a Persian astrologer, astronomer, and Islamic philosopher, thought to be the greatest astrologer of the Abbasid court in Baghdad. He was not a major innovator, and as an astrologer he was not intellectually rigorous. Nevertheless, he wrote a number of practical manuals on astrology that profoundly influenced Muslim intellectual history and, through translations, that of Western Europe and Byzantium. Life. Abū Maʿshar Jaʿfar ibn Muḥammad ibn Umar al-Balkhi lived in Baghdad. Early in his work as an academic he studied the hadith. It wasn't until he was 47 years old that he started studying astrology and natural philosophy. He found influence in the work of Greek, Mesopotamian, Islamic and Persian scholars. Richard LeMay has argued that the writings of Albumazar were very likely the single most important original source of Aristotle's theories of nature. For European scholars, starting a little before the middle of the 12th century, it was not until later in the 12th century that the original books of Aristotle on nature began to become available in Latin. The works of Aristotle on logic had been known earlier, and Aristotle was generally recognized as the master of logic. But during the course of the 12th century, Aristotle was transformed into the master of those who know, and in particular a master of natural philosophy. It is notable that the work of Albumazar in question is a treatise on astrology. Its Latin title is Introductorium in Astronomiam, a translation of the Arabic Kitab al-Mudkhal al-Kabir ila ilm Arkaman, written in Baghdad in the year 848 AD. It was translated into Latin first by John of Seville in 1133, and again, less literally and abridged by Hermann of Carinthia in 1148 AD. Amir Khusrav mentions that Abū Maʿshar came to Benares and studied astronomy there for 10 years. His works on astronomy are not extant, but information can still be gleaned from summaries found in the works of later astronomers from his astrology works. In his book, Al-Firist, Muhammad ibn Ishaq al-Nadim includes an extract from Abū Maʿshar's book on the variations of astronomical tables, which describes how the Persian kings gathered the best writing materials in the world to preserve the books on the sciences and deposited them in the Sarway Quindars inside the city of J or Rustak J in the district of Isfahan. The depository continued to exist at the time, and Nadim wrote in the 10th century. Abū Maʿshar's account describes how Tamurath, the ancient Persian king, when foretold by his astrologers of a phenomenon from the west, ordered his engineers to select the best place in the kingdom to construct a depository for his libraries. One book from this library that held special importance for Tamurath contained the wisdom of the ancient sages and the knowledge of the years and the cycles for deriving the positions of the stars and the reasons for the motions known as Adwar al-Hazarit, cycles of thousands. The astronomical wisdom of India, Persia and ancient Chaldea was thus preserved in these tables, the astronomical tables of al-Sharia. Al-Nadim also writes that Abū Maʿshar Jaʿfar ibn Muḥammad al-Balkhi was a scholar of the hadith, and he lived on the west side of Baghdad by Bab Ghassan. As a conservative theological scholar opposed to interpretive exegesis, he was antagonistic to al-Kindi's philosophical sciences. However, al-Kindi, through a clever ploy, won over Abū Maʿshar's curious nature, who then engaged himself in the study of sciences of arithmetic and geometry. Although he did not perfect himself at these before he turned to the science of the judgment of the stars at the age of 47, his foretelling of an event that subsequently occurred earned him a lashing ordered by the displeased Caliph al-Mustan. I hit the mark and I was severely punished. He died at al-Wasit after he had passed the age of 100 on Wednesday, during the last 2 nights of Ramadan in AH 72A. D.866. Introductions to Astrology. Kitab al-Mudkhal al-Kabir. An introduction to astrology which received many translations to Latin and Greek starting from the 11th century. It had significant influence on Western philosophies, like Albert the Great. Kitab Mukhtasar al-Mudkhal, an abridged version of the above, later translated to Latin by Abelard of Bar. Historical Astrology. Kitab al-Manilwar el-Duwal, probably his most important work, commented on in the major works of Roger Bacon, Pierre Daly, and Pico della Mirandola. Fidhikr Martadalu alayhi al-Ashkaz al-Alwiya. Kitab al-Dalalat ila al-Ittisalat wa Qaranat al-Kawakib. Kitab al-Uluf, preserved only in summaries by Sijzi. Kitab Tahawil Sani al-Alam, uses horoscopes to examine months and days of the year. It was a manual for astrologers. It was translated in the 12th century by John of Seville. Genethliology. Kitab Tahawil Sani al-Mawilat, translated into Greek in 1000, and from that translation into Latin in the 13th century. Kitab Mawlid al-Rijal war el-Nisa, which was widely circulated in the Islamic world. Books available in Latin and Greek translations. De Magnus Conjunctionibus ed. Transil. K. Yamamoto, Ch. Burnett, Leiden, 2000, 2 vols. De Revolutionibus Nativitatum ed. D. Pingree, Leipzig, 1968. Liber Florum, translated by James Herschel Holden in 5 medieval astrologies, 13–66. Introductorium Maius, ed. R. Limay, Napoli, 1995–1996, 9 vols. Yasugoga Minor, ed. Transil. Ch. Burnett, K. Yamamoto, M. Yano, Leiden, New York, 1994.